Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out this afternoon. Beautiful day in Boise, Idaho, and we just want to thank you for coming out to help celebrate the rededication of the Gene Harris Bandshell. For those of us that are joining us online, thank you for tuning in on the city's YouTube website to help us with this dedication today. It's taken about 3 years to get us to the point where we're at today, but I want to go back to that day on April 23rd, 2018, when I was unfortunate enough and then fortunate enough to receive 3 texts that evening from our communication folks with the Boise Fire Department. The first text I got said that the Gene Harris Bandshell was on fire. And you can imagine the things going through my mind at that point in time, but I didn't have any other details until about 15 minutes later. I got another text which said that the bandshell was completely engulfed in flames and appeared to be a total loss. So again, you can imagine what I was thinking at that point in time. What are we going to do with this iconic historic structure that means so much to the community is literally burning to the ground on that April 23rd evening. But then a half hour later, I got another text. And this one said that our fire team, I believe there were 3 units that were here, actually were able to contain the fire quicker than they had anticipated and actually extinguish the flames, and had reported back that it indeed was not a total loss, but actually they were able to save the structure. So the roller coaster ride that evening takes us now fast forward to here we are, the 29th of April, almost 3 years to the date later, and what was a very bad evening really turned out to be a pretty good setting for today's rededication. And I say pretty good because we were able to rebuild what was damaged in the fire. And the fire started just on the other side of this speaker, went up the front of the facility, and then if you stood out here, you couldn't see what the damage was to the roof, because you couldn't see over the top that in fact there were actually holes in the roof where the fire had created damage there. Once you went inside, you could see the damage, and it was pretty significant. But our design team, led by Toby Norton, who I believe is here with us today, acted very quickly. We got a structural engineer on contract who came back with some favorable information for us that the bandshell was still structurally sound. We got an architect under contract, and then we were out with a bid with contractors with the specific requirement, though, that we do not disturb the historical integrity of the facility. And I'm here to tell you today that they couldn't have done a more masterful job in that request. And so we were able to not only restore what the fire did, but we were also able to actually bring this venue into the 21st century as a performer's venue. We now have full audio and video capability. We have created accessible platforms where we can set up equipment and or make sure that everyone, no matter what your ability, you have access to this facility. We took the opportunity to rebuild the decking here, so it'll be good for another 93 years. We also installed new state-of-the-art lighting as well. Then we took the opportunity to go into the back house, which we've never utilized here for our performers, and we were able to add bathrooms, drinking stations, and we were also able to create a area where our performers can prepare and get ready to come out on stage, which is just to the right of me here. So all of that got done for about $900,000. It got done over that 3-year period, and I couldn't be more proud of the work that we as a community did to bring the bandshell back to where it's at today. We have a great program for you today. It's very unique in that our own star performer, musician, celebrity, Curtis Stigers has agreed to do a couple of songs for us today. So it's kind of a mini little concert, we were calling it, but it's just a couple of songs, but it really is a tribute to Gene and the relationship that Curtis had with Gene, and he'll touch upon that a little bit later when we get to that part of the program. So again, thank you all for coming. Thank you to those that are tuning in on our YouTube channel with the City of Boise. I'd like to turn it over now to the mayor of our awesome city, the mayor who has a vision to make a city, to create a city for everyone, Mayor Lauren McLean.
Thanks, Doug. And thanks, everybody, for coming today. This is truly a celebration. I first want to call out Terry and Brandy back here. You can't, wave, great. Terry's the head of our Arts and History Department. Brandy's our historian. They have been very involved in making it possible to bring this back from a historical perspective, to tell the story of what has happened in the last 3 years. It's now part of the story and history of this bandshell that was built in 1928. And so I think it's incredibly exciting that we get to open today with a concert. I'm going to add some titles to Doug's list of who Curtis is. What do you say? Star, performer, what else do you say? Celebrity. But I'll also say Boisean, committed to this place, a dear friend who I was really grateful was willing to sing, because it's truly a unique opportunity for us. One, to mark the opening of the reopening of this bandshell that'll stand the test of time for the next 100 years, but to do so with somebody who was born and raised in Boise, came back, but travels the world because so many people love his voice and the stories that come with his songs, and was mentored by Gene Harris, for whom this bandshell was named. And so, you know, it's funny to look out and see just grass, because I remember my daughter, who's now, you know, in college, really tall, was teeny tiny, and she'd roll around in this grass and dance around to concerts in the summer. We'd bike down here from the time she was little. And we can do this again, and we wanted to make sure that we get to do this again, and all the kids can enjoy it, either up high on the hill where they're rolling down, or down here in front where they're dancing while all the adults watch. We now get to do this, and really looking forward to more events. It's safe and healthy to be outside, to having musicians share with us their art, and bring people back together again in such a special place. So thanks to all who joined, to all who are watching the live stream. And next up, I think Doug's back, but I want to say too, Council President Pro Tem Lisa Sanchez is speaking, because Council President Lane Clegg is out of town, wasn't able to join us, but we also have other council members that I want to acknowledge because they made this possible from a funding perspective. We've got, let's see, Holly Woodings right there, and then Jimmy Halliburton. And Lisa will be up next to speak. So thanks all so very much.
I had one more title for Curtis, The Pride of Capitol High School. I think he wants to make sure that that got in there. Lisa Sanchez, Council Pro Tem.
It's so nice having a mayor who is the same height that I am. Don't have to adjust the microphone. Thank you so much, everybody who's here today and who is joining us online. I don't have the honor of being born and raised in Boise, but I can honestly say when I moved here in 1989 to attend Boise State University, I knew I was home, and it has been my home for over 30 years. And one of the reasons that I have felt so at home in Boise is because of people like Gene Harris, like Senator Cherie Buckner-Webb, like Curtis. It's the artists, the people who make all of us feel welcome. It doesn't matter what walk of life we come from, who doesn't like music, who doesn't like the arts. It's something that we can all take in. And I had the honor over the last few years to be the liaison to our Arts and History Department. And we tend to focus very much on the art part, which is completely understandable. But I have learned to appreciate and love the history part of the work that department does. I have been so grateful and appreciative of people like Brandy Burns, who provides us with all this wonderful history that makes up our city and our community. What it does is it gives our work context. The decisions that we make today very much are part of the history that we are making here in Boise. And so the decision to, yes, repair this beautiful bandshell, but to make sure that we honor the history that is held within, even as we invite new and current artists to display what they're so wonderful at here in our city and in this particular space. I'm so grateful to them. And so that is something that we at the City of Boise are doing, is ensuring that we can tell the story of who Boiseans are. Boiseans are Gene Harris. They are folks like Curtis. They are folks like Senator Sheree Buckner-Webb. And right now what we're working on is acknowledging the Mexican history here in Boise. One of our current projects is the erection of a kiosco at Pioneer Cemetery to acknowledge Jesus Urquidez, who is a muleteer here in Boise. And this is important information that we need going forward, because unless we acknowledge our history, it's difficult for us to make these decisions moving forward without that knowledge. And so I do want to thank again our Arts and History Department for the work that they do to make sure that Boise is inclusive and acknowledging the diverse communities that comprise Boise. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Pro Tem Sanchez, and I just want to echo as well our Arts and History team. They were instrumental in helping us make sure that this structure is, it was done appropriately, was done with the integrity of maintaining that historical nature. They provide all of the documentation of the history for it, and so I just really appreciate the work. Terry, as a colleague of mine, a fellow department head, and Brandy, great work again on, this is really a partnership within the city to get to the point where we're at today. Also want to thank a couple other folks, Sarah Collins over here, holding up the light pole for her work in today's event, Chloe Salabanks, helping them from our admin team, Summer Altieri, who's kind of organized this for us today and took care of getting all the little details done. Certainly Rocky Mountain for your work with the audio and visual pieces to this. Thank you all so much for that. And I know I already thanked Toby Norton, but this was Toby's project, our design manager for the city of Boise. Toby's over here to my right, and he lived this for the last 3 years to get us to where we're at through a pandemic, through issues with contractors, and coming to me and saying, Doug, we need another X amount of money because the whole bottom of this stage needs replaced. And we replaced it. And so this is good for another 93 years where I'm standing right now. So that's all good stuff. So anyway, big thanks to everyone, and really appreciate you coming out, and again for tuning in on our live stream. So I think we're ready to cut the ribbon. So we've got it right here. Here's Councilmember Whittings. So we'll just stretch it.
Now it's a Tuesday night, the kids are sleeping tight, but they're swinging down at 10th and Main. The city streets are bare, nobody anywhere, but they're swinging down at 10th and Main. Now when the big band sits down to play piano, ain't nobody feeling any pain. I'm gonna grab my axe and I'll be making tracks to where they're swinging down at 10th and Main. Yeah, play ball now. Justin Nielsen on the piano. That man can play the blues, yeah, you know he's paid his dues when you hear him swinging down at 10th and Main. He's bound to make you cry when he lets those fingers fly, swinging down at 10th and Main. Now he's a good man, always kind and gracious, and he's glad to let you share his stage. But you better hold on tight, cause the jam is hot tonight, swinging down at 10th and Main, swinging down. Mr. Tom Jensen. Mr. Jens Karas on the drum. Jens. That man can play the blues. Yeah, you know he's paid his dues when you hear him swinging down at 10th and Main. He's bound to make you cry when he lets those fingers fly, swinging down at 10th and Main. Now he's a good man, always kind and gracious, and is glad to let you share his stage. But you better hold on tight, cause the jam is hot tonight, swinging down at 10th and Main. Oh yeah, swinging down at 10th and Main. Hey baby, swinging down at 10th and Main. Once again, Jens Karas on the drums, Tom Jensen on the bass, Tom, Mr. Justin Nielsen on the piano. I am honored and thrilled to be here with you today. This is very important to me. I was telling the guys, the first time I played on this stage was 1982, and I was the drummer for a very cool new wave band. Cool, not good, but pretty cool. We had cool haircuts. Gene Harris was my friend. Gene Harris was my mentor. He was my hero, and he was one of the greatest jazz pianists ever. If you don't know Gene's music, he was a gospel, soul, and blues-based jazz pianist, born in Benton Harbor, Michigan. He recorded through the 1950s, 60s, and into the 70s with his trio called the Three Sounds. And they were one of the finest jazz trios recorded ever. They played with many greats, and they made records of their own. In the late 70s, Gene fell in love with Boise. He moved here in 1977, and he started playing some gigs around town, and he started to play at in the lobby bar of the Idaho Hotel, the corner of 10th and Main. That's what that song is about. That song that I just played for you. I wrote that about Gene's gigs there. Gene met his wife, his soon-to-be wife, Janie, in 1979, right there at the Idaho Hotel, and fell in love with Janie, and they were together until his passing in 2000. Gene had retired to Boise because he didn't really like where jazz was going at that time. In the late 70s, it was just doing things that he wasn't interested in, so he retired. He moved to Boise, like you do. You move to Boise, you retire. You get a mountain bike. He didn't get a mountain bike, but a set of golf clubs, actually. But during that time of being retired, he wasn't quiet. He eventually was brought back out on the road by the great Ray Brown, the jazz bassist, and Gene had a second career starting about 10 years later that lasted until his passing, that was maybe even more impressive than the first part of his career. But during that time he was here just playing in Boise, or just hanging in Boise, he put his own grand piano in the lobby bar of the Idaho Hotel, and 5 nights a week you could hear one of the greatest jazz pianists in the world for free on Main Street in little old Boise, Idaho, which was a lot more little old then than it is now, of course. And Tuesday night, of those 5 nights, Tuesday night was the best night. It was jam night. Anyone with the guts and an instrument could go sit in with Gene Harris. And I started going when I was about 15, maybe 16. The first time I went, I just went and stood in the corner of the lobby of the Idaho to make sure that I wouldn't be killed or eaten. It was a scary idea as a teenager. But then I thought, all right, I could do that. And I brought my clarinet in, and soon after that, saxophones. And Gene was incredibly warm to all of us. He said, "Yeah, baby, you sound great. Keep practicing a lot." But he said, "Come back next week," and I did. I was there almost every Tuesday night for years. It was Jazz University with the occasional snuck cold draft beer. Don't tell my mom. And but Gene left us too soon. In 2000, Gene passed, and it broke a lot of hearts. Gene was not just a mentor to me and my friends, but he became an ambassador to this place, and he was one of the most beloved Boiseans. I miss him very much, and I am proud to be here to rededicate this beautiful bandshell in his honor. To Gene Harris, huzzah. One of the songs that Gene played the heck out of was the Gershwin's Summertime. And when I was going in regularly on those Tuesday nights to play with Gene, I met up with a handful of musicians from the other school. As you mentioned, I was a Capitol High grad, but there were a few guys from Bora High, including Jim Cassis and the late Paul Tillotson, a dear friend of mine. And we started playing, and we would go in and sit in with Gene, and he'd let us play and feature us. And he became particularly Paul Tillotson's mentor, and they were close. And sadly, we lost Paul just a few years ago. This is an arrangement of Summertime by the Gershwins that Paul created for our little jazz group that we used to play when we were all 18 or 19 years old. So this is for Paul and Gene. Summertime. 1, 2, 3. Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Your daddy's rich and your mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings you're gonna rise up singing. Spread your wings and take to the sky. But until that morning, ain't nothing gonna harm you, with your mama and your daddy standing by. And the living is easy. The fish are jumping and the cotton is high. Your daddy's rich and your mama good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings, you're gonna rise up singing. Spread your wings and take to the sky. But until that morning, ain't nothing gonna harm you. With your mama and your daddy standing by. Yeah, in the summertime. Oh, in the summertime. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's been a great pleasure. Once again, Jens, Tom, Justin, thank you, Doug. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council folks. It's a great pleasure and honor. And what do you think? Should we do one more, or you want to say goodbye, or how do you want to do this?
you guys are actually pretty good.
I feel like we could go pro anytime.
Soon, yeah.
We're thinking about at least
I think
going
all the hype
semi-pro.
means something here, yeah. I'd leave it up to you. I think we would be in for one more. Would we? One more?
All right, then. Twist my arm. Thanks, Doug. I love Boise. We'll play the blues for you. Yeah. 1, 2. Every day I have the blues. Every day I have the blues. If you see me worrying, baby, it's you I hate to lose. Nobody love me. Nobody seem to care. Nobody love me. Nobody seem to care. Talk about hard luck and trouble. Well, you know I've had my share. Go get it now, Justin. I'm gonna pack my suitcase and move on down the line. Well, there ain't nobody worrying and there ain't nobody crying every day, every day. Well, every day, every day, every day I have the blues. Every day, every day, every day I have the blues. Every day I have the blues. Thank you. You want this one? Here. This one works.
Thank you, Curtis. Where'd you get these guys?
These are the local boys.
Wow, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for coming out. You guys were great. Let's give it up again for the band. Wow. Thank you so much. Curtis, thank you. And just so you all know, Curtis is getting paid a bunch for this. 0, and so we appreciate.
There was bottled water, though.
Yeah, there was, actually. Thank you for taking care of the room in here. That was great. Again, thank you all those tuning in online on our YouTube channel with the City of Boise. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you coming out to celebrate the rededication of the Gene Harris Bandshell. Today kicks off what we believe will be a large number of all kinds of cool concerts and venues and events right here on this stage. So again, thank you all for coming out. Appreciate. I do want to give one more thank Matt Cooper with our IT department. Thank you for working with Rocky Mountain to get this streamed. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Okay, thank you all again for tuning in, and stay tuned for more events here at the Gene Harris Bandshell.